Hi everyone, I'm Summer Dash. We are so happy to have you here with us from the Energycast studios in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Let's take a look at July's top stories. A $42 million step forward. That is the number agreed upon under the Natural Resources Damage Assessment and Restoration Process, or NRDA. With the agreement officially signed, we'll take a deep look at how this money is expected to improve the area after damage from previous contamination. What a milestone! 100 canisters of uranium-233 officially processed. That's the project helping cancer treatment research, by the way. We've got an update on that work and how that team was able to surpass the 2024 goal with 6 months left in the year.
I would say just learn as much as you can from everybody. You don't know who you're going to meet and what they're going to be able to teach you.
That's one of our newest coworkers being interviewed by our newest team members. It's all thanks to Oak Ridge's growing summer intern program. Stay tuned for our Interns Interviewing Interns segment. Our big story this month is the Natural Resource Damage Assessment Agreement. The $42 million agreement has been signed. That money goes toward restoring natural resources all across Oak Ridge and the surrounding communities. It's been a long time coming and took into account community concerns and professional input. So this video you're seeing is from a public meeting about 2 years ago. DOE, Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and Tennessee Valley Authority were all there to talk about that number. Now, all the funds from that $42 million agreement will be deposited into an account held by the state of Tennessee. It'll be used for grants to fund a wide range of projects that enhance the area's natural resources or provide nature and recreational opportunities. So joining us now is Debbie Duran with the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. So Debbie, those grants, they've got no minimum. They can go into the millions. What are some examples of projects that we might see funded by them, and explain the significance?
So I think just because I know that for this area, it is just going to really benefit the community. So the Oak Ridge community, the surrounding areas that will be eligible for projects. So there will be 12 hydrologic unit codes that are specified in the restoration project selection procedure. And so it's open to the local government entities to apply for grants and others that will be specified in that document. And I just think it's so promising for supporting wildlife, outdoor recreation opportunities, groundwater protection, and just ecological services in that area. It's going to really balance the entire community as far as creating a healthy environment and place to live.
Debbie, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we also spoke with OREM manager Jay Mullis about this signing.
We see this as very positive, and being able to get those settled certainly gives us some certainty as well to what, the liabilities here in Oak Ridge will be for EM and DOE.
Eligible counties are Anderson, Roane, and portions of Loudoun and Knox. We've got some more on that grant process and go even more in depth in our discussions with both Duran and Mullis over on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe for more exclusive stories. Well, there is a new site office manager at the Oak Ridge National Lab. Trey Wheeler, a retired Rear Admiral from the U.S. Navy, is now leading that team. He's served on assignment around the world, managed multiple portfolios across several joint organizations, managing budgets in the $400 million range, and a staff of nearly 3,000. He will be moving here from Lexington, Virginia. Wheeler replaces Johnny Moore, who retired after more than 17 years in the role and 40 years in federal service. Well, we've got a hot minute to take you to the Environmental Management Disposal Facility. Let's take a look at how it's coming along. Community leaders and regulators stopped by to see that progress this month. DOE is running out of space at the current landfill, so this one will allow teams to complete future cleanup projects at the Y-12 National Security Complex and Oak Ridge National Laboratory. It'll be a safe location for building debris and soil generated from that work.
I appreciate wildlife. I appreciate the natural beauty of the area, and everything has been done to make this happen. But I think also from the business side of things that we need to have this facility. We need to have it be local so that we have a cost savings so that the work can get done quickly. And I think that really from both sides of the issue, this is a success.
Getting to work with each DOE mission, you get to see how important the cleanup mission is to the other missions. And so it's all this kind of circular environment that helps us all be successful. So to know how well the cleanup mission is going and how important the finalization of this facility is to making it all work together, it's fun to get to be a part of that and be able to support that. And it helps me understand how to communicate to the community how important this is.
In September of 2022, DOE, EPA, and TDEC signed a record of decision for EMDF. Let's head on over to our interview set now for a cleanup conversation. Well, last month we highlighted the signature of key documents that allow our team to finish the last phase of cleanup at the East Tennessee Technology Park. Those documents are called Records of Decision, or RODs. It's a really important part of any major cleanup project, so we wanted to bring in some experts to explain this to us. So today in the studio, we've got Regulatory Affairs Specialist Roger Petrie. Thank you so much for being here. We've got Director of Quality and Mission Support Erin Sutton. Thank you so much for being here. You have both worked for the state, so each of you have particularly valuable insight into this. That means they've worked on both sides, first as regulators and now as performers of that work. So Erin, first question is for you. What's the importance of a ROD and what does it cover?
RODs are really important in the cleanup process because basically when you break it down, it's a very complicated process, but really when you break it down, it's not so much. Basically, you've got to go out and investigate what the problem is, and once you know that, you can kind of figure out how you're going to clean it up. Well, this record of decision is basically a piece of paper that says, hey, this is the way DOE is going to tackle the groundwater cleanup at ETTP. So we've done the investigation, we've made that decision in that record of decision on how we're going to clean it up, and now we're about ready to start moving forward with the cleanup at the K31, 33, and the main plant of ETTP.
All right, so last time we had our signed ROD was in 2022. Before that, it was 2009. And while some may look at that and say, well, that's the government, things move slowly, it is far more nuanced than that. It takes a lot to get to that signing. So, Roger, you're here to explain to us why that process is so lengthy and what actually goes into it, because it's a lot.
It is. We initially started discussions on groundwater here in Oak Ridge in the early 2000s, so over 20 years ago. And over that period of time, the things that have to go into the ROD are we have to do an investigation. We have to agree, first of all, you have to agree on where you're going to go look. And since groundwater is not visible, obviously it's below the surface, there's a lot of work that goes into just figuring out where the extent of your contamination is. And then once you've done that, what is the nature of your contamination? And then you have to come to agreement on what you're going to do about that contamination. A lot of this doesn't respond well to treatment and other remedies. And then on top of all of that, we're talking about the Federal Facility Agreement, which is a tri-party agreement between the state of Tennessee, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Department of Energy. So it's not just one government agency, it's three. Each agency, while we all have the end goal of completing the cleanup, within that goal, we each have our own priorities, and trying to get those priorities to align with each other sometimes takes a while. some of the simpler questions can be handled at staff level, the technical questions, but then there are, as time goes on, there are questions they can't answer that are policy levels, and those have to go up. And eventually, our leadership has to engage. And that, all of these, while any one of those is a difficult thing to do, when you start lining up all of these questions and having to get each one answered, you realize you've been doing this for 10 years. It's nobody trying to stall. It is just hard questions and hard answers. And it just takes a lot of people a long time to sort of come to agreement.
There's a lot of communication, a lot of coordination, and it sounds like not necessarily a slow process, but an appropriate one to make sure it's done right.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for being here. We appreciate your time and your expertise, of course, and we will have even more from this cleanup conversation over on our YouTube channel. The Uranium-233 disposition project has reached a major milestone. EM's goal was to process 35 canisters this year. Well, team has already processed more than 40, and it's only July. Plus, that means 100 canisters officially processed. Here's what the president of Isotech, the contractor handling this project, has to say about it.
We have had challenges, but we've got such a great group of people who pay attention to the details, who are all in to get it done right. They've taken on every single challenge and come up with the solutions.
Now, what the Isotech team is doing with that material is really, really incredible. They are extracting thorium-229, a rare medical isotope now being used to treat cancer in clinical trials. In addition, the team has shipped off 350,000 pounds of waste for disposal so far. Crews are moving closer to starting the first ever demolition of a former uranium enrichment facility at the Y-12 National Security Complex. Now, before the teardown can begin, workers are busy rerouting utilities away from the building. That is not a small task. It involves installing new bridges, each weighing thousands of pounds, to relocate active steam, air, gas, and water lines surrounding that 1940s era structure. Teardown of the 325,000 square foot Alpha 2 building is scheduled to begin this fall. It'll mark EM's biggest project to date at Y-12. After 3 years of work, crews have finished the largest soil cleanup project at the East Tennessee Technology Park. Employees excavated more than 100,000 cubic yards of contaminated soil for an area in the middle of the iconic K-25 building footprint. Now, for context, that's more than 8,500 dump truck loads. It was the final major soil cleanup project remaining at the site, and its completion moves EM into the final phase of cleanup at ETTP. That phase involves addressing groundwater. Now, with soil remediation wrapping up, marks the end of the current phase of cleanup at the East Tennessee Technology Park. Next month, we're going to have full coverage of this major milestone. We're going to talk about what it means for the future of that site.
Hi, I'm Ella Stewart.
This is Brian Getzy.
We are summer interns here at UCOR, and we will be interviewing other interns.
I'm Sydney Prepcheck.
Sydney, where are you from and where do you go to school?
I'm living here in Knoxville. I go to the University of Tennessee, and I'm studying industrial engineering.
How did you learn about UCOR to make you come over here?
In one of my classes, we had a guest speaker who actually worked here, and he mentioned that they were taking on summer interns. And so I looked on their website and applied for a couple of them, and I got one.
So what are you doing here this summer?
This summer I'm with NDA, and I'm helping them with their efficiency. They go out in the fields and take a lot of measurements. So I'm helping them streamline their process to do that, make sure they're not forgetting things, make sure their checklists include everything they need, and just things like that.
How are you enjoying that experience so far?
I like it a lot. There's a lot of variety in what I do. There's a lot of help from the other people in my group, so I feel very supported, and I feel like I'm learning a lot.
UCOR hosted 40 interns this year. We've got a longer version of the interns interviewing interns story over on our social media. Before we go, we want to let you know about some upcoming coverage we've got in the works for you. We will bring you an interview with new EM Senior Advisor Candace Robertson. She started last month after President Biden nominated Ike White to serve on the Defense Nuclear Facilities Safety Board. That interview is coming up in our August episode. And we will also have full coverage from the Nuclear Opportunities Workshop. Industry leaders will be talking fission and fusion in Knoxville, hosted by the East Tennessee Economic Council. Hey, remember, if you work in environmental management in Oak Ridge, keep this in mind if you come across a story. We are always looking for news tips and story ideas from all across the reservation. We would love to feature what matters to you right here. Email your idea to oakridgeem@orem.doe.gov. And don't forget to follow us on our social media accounts. We post this show on our YouTube channel. Plus, if you liked a topic we covered here, we often have more on it over there. You can also follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, and X accounts. And before we end this show today, I've got some personal news to share with you. This will be my last time hosting Energycast. I am moving on to a new job and new state. My husband and our 2 little dogs and I are heading to Salt Lake City, Utah for what I can only call a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I have loved my position here in Oak Ridge, and I'm so proud of everything we've built. We started this show out of the guest room in my house, and because of our incredible leadership team and believing in our work, we grew into this stunning professional TV studio. We are now a multi-award-winning public affairs program. Believe me, this is not easy to leave, and neither are any of you. My coworkers across the reservation picked me up right out of the news business and showed me I could find fulfillment here. As many of you know, I left my job as a journalist because the symptoms of an incurable illness I developed in my 20s became difficult to manage. That's why I know you will understand why, while I am so sad to leave, I am ecstatic to be joining a brand new medical and research center called the Metrodora Institute. There, doctors are treating patients with my condition and trying to find cures for many complex illnesses. It has been a privilege to be part of the OREM team and work alongside passionate people who believe in the cleanup mission. Thank you so much for trusting me to get the message right and share your stories with our community, lawmakers, and industry professionals. It is also my great honor to tell you that I know who is replacing me. I look forward to watching the work continue and know you will be in good hands with my friend Allison Smith. She is one of my former coworkers from WATE 6 on Your Side News in Knoxville. She's a stellar communicator and she's a really, really good person. You can meet her next month right here on Energycast. So, for the last time, thank you so much for joining us. New episodes come out on the last Wednesday of the month. You can watch on air or online, same place as always.